we're both from Taiwan. We've been in the Pittsburgh area for a combined about 17 years at this point, and I am a software engineer.
I'm a domestic manager, no,
Domestic
engineer.
manager, domestic engineer. Yeah, and we have two kids. We have a 12-year-old and an 8-year-old boys, and yeah, they're actually soon to go one more year. Let's see. So we actually came into this with already some prior knowledge about needing to establish a trust. Um, we moved back to Pittsburgh from California, and in California, we'd actually started to create
Living will.
yeah, we did living will. We learned about living will and trust there, but we never actually took a plunge to create a trust. And so through a connection, actually via Kristen at Mass Mutual, she actually referred us to Ashley. We talked to Ashley, and Ashley was so like super friendly. She gave us the whole, you know, overview of what her services entail, and she was very professional, very organized. And yeah, so before coming in, we did not actually have a trust, but we had this knowledge and intention of creating one. And yeah, actually eased us into the process.
The first thing with the living will we think about, because I was pregnant, and then we think about we need to do something about the, because it's a new life, and then the mom's life and the situation, we think that's important for that time. And then after, for the trust, we learn some of the knowledge from the ex lawyer. And after I heard about a lot of elder people, they think they need to do something for the trust, because when we pass away, and then a lot of things, and the kids cannot handle that. So that's why we think about this is the important thing we need to do. We don't throw the trouble for the kids.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think that for me, the probate court was one of the big issues that we were worried about. And it's as Chen said, there's a whole, making things seamless and easy for our next generation, so they're not blocked on whatever wealth we've built up. I think over time, between California and Pittsburgh, it was a span of probably a good 7 years, where we learned about it, but we didn't actually build up the trust. It didn't seem like we had the need, the wealth, right, like to really warrant building such a thing. But I think in Pittsburgh we started um, to with what our Lord provided, we started to sort of see, hey, we are maybe accumulating a bit of wealth, and we'd like to pass that on. I think all of that goes into this decision. It's not a one thing, but there's also the thing that the reason it took so long. I think is also the emotional. There's some emotional side to this, which is, we're kind of parting early with our belonging in a way, because it's not going to be in our name. It's going to be in this entity, right? And so like conceptually, rationally, it all seems fine, but then like emotionally, there's like we're not quite ready. And it wasn't until we met Ashley that sort of all started to gel and change.
And then after we feel comfortable with her,
Mhm.
yes, and then he and she gave us a lot of information we want to know, and then give us all the questions she can solve it,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And also the all the request. I mean the question should respond so fast, and then we can get all the information. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right. It's Trust is one of these things. It's like it's so easy to get into like this, I don't know, scammy sort of setup. So having someone introduce us was definitely a plus. Um, Ashley's responsiveness, the way that she ran her practice, the whole process was very methodical. And I think I mentioned initially she's very organized. One of the big attractors was actually going into that house. It made it feel cozy. I know that she was very sad to part with that, to go into this office building, but she's trying to replicate that coziness. It's that sense of, hey, this feels comfortable. She and her team know what they're doing. Yeah, those all played a role.
Yeah, and when we talk with her, and then we feel like the family. It's not like the
Mm.
loyal and the
Yeah,
customer.
that's true.
Yeah.
She didn't feel like a lawyer. It was a whole process. I mean, it started before the meeting with information gathering. Um, that felt painful, but then it's like, well, that's part of setting up a trust, you've got to actually think through all of your assets, where things are. And Ashley's team made that actually quite seamless. It was all for us. It was online. There was not paperwork. We just sort of type things in. So that was the beginning of that process. Yeah. So there was 3 meetings, right?
Yes.
First meeting was our intro to understand the different kinds of service and structure, and then information gathering in the middle. Second meeting was the actual going over all of the documents that we had wanted to set up, so that we can talk to her, talk through all the, we can ask questions. It was like a couple hours, and then finally there was the signing. So the law in California, what she and her husband helped us to understand was that the continuity of the lawyer was actually the practice was actually an important consideration. What she had given us was a lot of the knowledge around why we should have a trust. What does it entail, right? What are all the sort of combinations of things that if one goes or both goes, there's all of that set up. There's a whole thing about revocable versus irrevocable trust. So we had learned quite a bit of the basic knowledge coming from that the lawyer firm in California, and I had wanted to work with her while here, but then she was very ready to say, hey, I'm familiar with California law, not Pennsylvania. Find someone local. And I was like, okay, great. And so we started to look, and so I think working with her and having set up a living will and health directive, there was at least a good underpinning. It wasn't clear to me that Ashley needed any of that or use any of that because Pennsylvania has its own sort of set. But for us, at least, we were more prepared for the details. And then when we came to Ashley, I think the way that Ashley has things set up, and she also assured us that she's actually part of a network of other trust firms that she can trust, that if things go wrong with the firm, there's someone to sort of hand that to. The continuity plan being in place also gave us assurance. Okay, this is going to work, okay, right? Because we kind of see this trust as a living entity that could go on for some number of decades, right? I think it's a sense of, right, it's like a sense of assurance, right? Yeah, you put it well. Big stone that we put down.
Yeah.
It's one thing that sort of nags, and we don't have to worry about it. It feels lighter, right? It feels different. It feels like we
Yeah.
don't have to. There are also things about the belonging, like the assets that we have, because it sort of belongs to this trust. Even though we're trustees, it's a different feel. I think it's overall sort of, yeah, lighter, less burdensome psychologically.
Yes.
Otherwise, it doesn't, like day-to-day life, I don't think it directly feels any different. I think it's when you think about it, it's like, oh yeah, we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, and this time right now is second year, right?
Yeah.
So the first year we think about took a year to do this trust, and then the second year we also need to go back to think about all the things we need to change. So it's kind of you review your life, and then to do the new design or new things to put in.
We also actually decided to join the annual subscription service that Ashley's firm provided, and one of the things that was cool about it was this interview, the legacy interview, right? And that was an emotionally cathartic session. It was very interesting to, like, basically what we're doing is leaving a video for our children for when we pass. So it's a very weird thing to be doing. But both Shin and I, like, we think we liked it, right? And it's a thing that they offer every year. We can leave one of these every year if we wanted to. So it's very different. It's almost morbid if you think about it. But then it's also like, oh, this is cool. We get to leave messages for our children that, otherwise, like, if you just suddenly pass, nothing, right? Like, it's so it's kind of cool. That's like a little treasure, right, that we leave behind. So we've done one of that, and so that was really interesting. And then there's the one year review of the material. So being able to go back and revisit some of the key decisions, key choices. Like, we decided to make a change to our allocation so we can put more toward our church. We also thought about dementia and Alzheimer, and not wanting to burden our family if we're in a sort of a really bad state, and we added that language to our health directive. These are some of the things that, again, Ash's firm provides the service, and because we're doing the annual subscription, we don't have to pay for this follow-up. Otherwise, any of these follow-up changes to the document is going to be another fee, right? So that part is really nice.